Hey, Stones Throw Church, Pastor Dan here, and I'm going to share with you a few thoughts about our kids' church ministry and where we're headed over the next couple of weeks, 10 weeks to be exact. Right now we're teaching them the Westminster Shorter Catechism, and I recently sat down with one of our kids' church pastors, Tyler Brown. Many of you have met him and know him. He is a teacher in the public school system. He's worked with Stones Throw Church on the staff, and he's put together a really great curriculum to teach our kids the answers to questions such as what is God and who is Jesus and what is our purpose in this life. And so we're going to be having some projects go home with the kids, and they're going to be talking to you, parents, about what they're learning in kids' church, and so we want to kind of give you an update on that. So I recently sat down with Tyler Brown, and this is how the conversation went. So I'm sitting here with Tyler Brown, and he is the one of our pastors of children with the kids' church, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about what we're doing, why we're doing it, if that's all right with you.
Sure.
And maybe just some of the details, maybe some of the things that the parents can do to stay involved with what we're doing.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we are going through the Westminster Confession of Faith, kids edition, so pretty broken down, not much of the full length. We're only doing 10 weeks, so we're going to pick out 10 key questions that the kids should know. The kids are going to be getting index cards, or already have received index cards, on a little ring that they can practice at home with parents, brothers, sisters, strangers, whoever they want to practice with. So that way they can learn some stuff from the Bible, from our faith, some of the basics of Christianity. As to parents...
What are some of the questions they're going to learn?
Some of them are going to be, was the Trinity, who made you, can you earn, that's not the phrase right, but how can you earn your own salvation? How did Jesus come to give us grace?
It's a real shallow stuff.
Yeah, real simple, no hard words.
I heard one of the kids the other day said that he was thankful in his prayer before he went to bed that he learned what expiation is.
Well, he should be thankful.
So, my daughter Evangeline was talking about it too when she was doing all the drawings. What are the drawings that they're doing in those cards?
For our artistic kids, we let them kind of draw something to symbolize what some of the terms mean. So I saw a few of them had, in our illustration we did on Sunday, we had a picture that was clean and we covered it in Expo marker to make it dirty. Mm-hmm. And so some of them drew that activity out to remind them what that word meant.
Yeah. How are the kids responding to what we're doing?
Some of them are excited. Some of them don't like having to write on Sundays, though. So there's some of both, but I think generally they're pretty excited to get to take something home, to get to show their parents what they're actually learning. This way they can actually have an answer when their parents ask them what they learned in kids' church, because most of us have forgotten by the time they've eaten all the communion bread and ran around the sanctuary.
Why do you think, since you've been working with the kids pretty close since the beginning, I think, but why do you think this is important? We're talking about doctrine. Not the kids would even know they're learning doctrine, but why do you think it's important to teach kids? These are some pretty deep concepts for our day and age. Back in the day, the Shorter Catechism was made for kids, mm-hmm. and that was the first Shorter Catechism, not the kids' Shorter Catechism. But why is it important, you think, for our kids to understand doctrine and learn this?
I think there's a lot of reasons for that. Personally, it's something I didn't grow up with. The church I went to as a child didn't really teach catechism. We didn't really teach Jesus, much of Jesus. So that was getting some Christocentric doctrine later in life. I really made me wish I'd had that kind of mindset and framework growing up. So it's something that I've really had a passion for, is to get these kids to learn some doctrine that's Jesus saturated, really goes beyond the basic God is love. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but goes beyond that shallow understanding of our faith. So I think part of it really develops a framework for these kids to work from, and my hope and desire is that the Holy Spirit will ignite that into their own love for Jesus, that it'll ignite into something that they can really learn to explore once they come into their teen years. I know a lot of kids that grow up in the church don't know anything else and don't really know how to, not necessarily defend. Some don't know how to defend that faith, mm-hmm. but some know it because it's all they've been taught. And I want to really teach the kids to be critical thinkers, to ask questions, to interact with this material, and to get them to learn to have a love of a doctrine that that can only come by grace, though.
Yeah, and I think that's a big point, and one of the reasons why I wanted to have it done too as well. I know you guys wanted it for a while, but just having them really fall in love with Christ and fall in love with the God that we worship, that happens. I mean, as they study the doctrine. I know that as I'm preparing for a sermon this Sunday called God Is, I'm studying the attributes of God. It's just doctrine. It's pure doctrine is what it is. And just reminding me once again, as I take a look at the scriptures from where that doctrine comes, just how much God has done for us and just how amazed we can be at Him. I think that's the purpose of doctrine. What could parents do with the kids? I know you mentioned a little bit, but just maybe specifically, is as you're going through this over 10 weeks with the kids, and we'll probably revisit this with the next set of 10 questions or whatever as we get through the other series, but what can they do? So when my kid comes home, when Eva comes home with the cards, and she's got the pictures and she's got the words there, what should I be doing as a parent?
Well, speaking as a non-parent, I'm kind of assuming that
perspective.
I know. I guess what I would do, or what I would plan on doing, I don't know. I would say try and make it something that's fun. I know one of the things that can get frustrating, and we've mentioned this with community groups a couple times, is the community group will be sitting around a dinner table talking about sports and basketball and football and having a blast, and then we move to the other room when we open the Bibles and everyone becomes serious and it's no fun anymore, and we talk about Jesus, and then we come back to the fun things afterwards.
Maybe they shouldn't move to the other room.
I don't know. We'll figure something out. But I think not having that kind of a Bible study as a family might be helpful. I'm sure that's worked for some families, but I would want to say, let's insert Jesus into our everyday life. So rather than having to break for let's stop and open the Bible, let's just, if we're cooking, let's talk about Jesus and how He's created flavor and how Jesus has created this and how, or even just, I was talking with a friend the other day, and we were talking about how some people it's really difficult to talk about spiritual things, and some people it's just when you get together, because you both love Jesus, it just overflows out of you. And so I wish that was the way that we would do this at home, that it wouldn't be, let's sit down and memorize expiation, but it would be, let's clean the windows. And while we're doing that, let's think a little bit about what this could mean on a deeper level.
So the parents need to sort of know the doctrine that their kids are learning.
I would love if the parents knew the doctrine that the kids know.
Well, there's ways that they can go about that. I mean, they can study the Shorter Catechism. Williamson's Guide's a really good one for kids or for parents to study. And maybe we'll put some resources up on the city for parents to go through to try and pull out theological concepts. And one thing as a parent that I would suggest is, even when I'm disciplining my kids, that's some of the best theology. And before they go to bed, that's when they're going to listen, because they don't want to go to bed. And they're going to talk to mom and dad about this stuff. But I think the parents need to know, what is it that we're talking about? And the way they can do that is go through the Westminster Shorter Catechism with their kids, paraphrase in their own ways, learn some of the scriptures, and talk about it with them.
You made me, or made isn't the right word, but you asked me when I was on staff here to work through the Westminster Confession or the Shorter Catechism and try and memorize it with some proof text. And I think there's been very few things that have been better for my spiritual growth than that activity. Just even, especially when it came, when I led a Bible study up at University of Delaware, being able to have that arsenal of truth to pull out, to just know that, or just even knowing simple concepts like the Trinity that no one would probably, in Christian circles, would object to know some proof text for that, or any of our central truths, that's a huge thing. And I'm sure with the endless why questions that come with kids, there's nothing better that I would recommend than do something like that, if not.
Absolutely. And it's funny that you mentioned that, Tyler, too, because today I was talking to somebody, and he wouldn't mind me sharing this with you, but we were working through some doctrines of the Trinity, as he was friends with some Jehovah's Witnesses and such, and he was hammering people, even in the church, not really to get on their nerves, but just he was searching for truth about the Trinity. He wanted to know who Jesus is. And I think you're right that a lot of us take that for granted in doctrines such as the Trinity, who is God, how many persons are in the Godhead. These are all questions in the Shorter Catechism, and I think the cool thing about what you did when you memorized it, and when I memorized it for licensure and ordination, were the proof texts, because these are things. I already know this. God is, He's three in one. He's one person, or one. There's the unity of God, three persons. But knowing where we're getting this from in the Bible, that's critical. So teaching our kids that's why we want to do this. We're going to make it a little bit more about than doing a coloring assignment, a cute Bible lesson. Although what I think is really great and what I think parents should know about you and your crew is that you guys do a really good job teaching them. My kids always come home and they pretty much know what they've been taught that day when they're in kids' church. So keep up the good work, and thanks for doing it, man.
Thanks, and definite shout out to Ellen and Bobby and the supervisor team and the room monitor team.
Yep.
Couldn't do any of it without them.
And by the way, if you want to help kids' church, we could use some more help, right?
We can always use more help.
Use more help, get some more people on the team, and we'd love to sign you up for that. So maybe talk to Tyler or Ellen or Bobby or any of the people that he mentioned. We can put you in touch with them. So hopefully we'll see you at church, and you'll be able to talk to your kids about the Westminster Shorter Catechism. If you have any questions about doctrine or Shorter Catechism, see one of us, and we'll give you some resources, and we want to help you teach your kids about Jesus. So in the meantime, God bless. We'll see you there.